Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. Thank you so very much for visiting at this moment on this subject. Before I get going, today I went, and this is St. Woodbury, but I went to the state capital, St. Paul, Minnesota, which is right down the street. They were having a rally out there today. Two groups. I'm not sure what the rally were about. I heard a reference to some saying that Islamic traditions are incompatible with the traditions of apparently Americanism. Don't quote me on that. It was something for people coming together. And another group, some of themselves, saying that Islam is welcome here. They were saying the positive things. They were saying what they considered the positive things. The other group was saying what they considered the positive things, but they were split. And I happened to hear about that taking place today, this morning, so I decided to go up there by noon. And I wanted to share with you some of the things, the impressions that I came back with. But before I start that, I want to say one thing. Whistleblowers, wherever you are in America or in the world, you are messages from heaven. Remember this. You are messages from heaven. You are not going to be appreciated by the systems of the world, because the systems of the world work against heaven. This is why they have these secrets. This is why they want people to put their lives on the line to protect these secrets, because they don't want anybody to know that they are violating the rules of heaven. But a whistleblower comes along, led by the spirit of heaven, cares more about all of the people than the people who are misleading the people, and doing this as a reflection of the heaven they represent, and they say, here's what's really going on. A message from heaven. You will be hated by those who support the systems that support against heaven. You will be hated, really hated. But consider it fantastic to be hated because you love, because you want the people to know the truth. Consider it the best thing you can get out of life is to be hated for loving folks. You ain't doing them no harm. You ain't causing no danger, no violence, not taking away their livelihood. Just want them to know the truth. Let them know that they're walking on a burning piece of log if they've been led to believe they're walking on ice. No, okay, now, back to the subject matter. I was passing out, I had 50 leaflets I wanted to pass out and invite people to watch my video on YouTube and Facebook called Die Young. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It's very good, I think. I learned a lot from that, and I'm sure you will as well. Anyway, I was passing out some of my leaflets, and one guy was passing out another group of leaflets, and I got it here, and I wanted to share it with you. It's called Birth Bond Slave. Now, I know 99.9% of you have never heard of Birth Bond Slave. The information is out there. The information is everywhere. You could get it. But why would you get it? What would lead you to want to question that? You don't get that in school. They don't teach you that at church. So where would that subject matter come up at? Where? If maybe you're of a particular group of people whose concern is your history of where you're from, that still wouldn't tell you much. But the information is out there. Somebody's been curious enough to make the information available. So let me read it to you. It says, Birth Bond Slave. It all starts at your birth, when your parents filled out your registration of life, of live birth. When your parents filled out your registration of live birth. The parents chose a name for the child. The state or province that take that name and they capitalize it. Now you know what capitalization is. You capitalize your name. If the state or province is in debt, the name is entirely capitalized. Your entire name is capitalized. If the state or province is not, then just the last name is capitalized. So in other words, you live in a state that's obligated to you by some other means outside of itself. And by being obligated or in debt, when you are born, your personhood is signed over as collateral for this debt that you have. If you don't owe anything, you're only one part of your name is capitalized. But if you owe anything, your whole entire name is capitalized. So what happens? The freeborn child is sold into slavery. You heard the expression, everybody, you're born into slavery, you're born into sin. You heard the expression from the church, you're born into sin. You are. Unknowingly, you're sold into slavery unknowingly by its parents in exchange for benefits like child tax credit, like welfare, free health care, schools, etc. Now, these things people desire, people want, people need. These. And the way that it was intended to be, you get these things without these debts and this other stuff being held over your head. That comes over your head because there's another power that's trying to rule you, taking usurpation over the true ruler that you're saying okay to. Well, of course, because of the Federal Reserve, since all money is loaned at interest, all states and the country as a whole is always in debt. And your name will always be capitalized. Why? You are property of the state. You are collateral to wherever that debt is on. The freeborn child has the right to contract out of this when they turn the age of majority, usually 18, but 14 in some countries. Now, if you don't know you're in bondage, if you don't know you're a slave, a bond slave, how are you going to contract out of it? You ever heard anybody say, well, I want to contract out of slavery? Look, up until recently, I never heard of it in the sense that we're talking about of it today. We didn't even know that. Most people don't know that even still. Even as they hear this, it familiarizes them with some thoughts they've had, but they're not buying into this. I'm just sharing it with you because you need to have it shared. Now, the government gets you to voluntarily fill out a Social Security or social insurance form to get an employee number, working papers for the IRS or the CRA. You need this number to access benefits like unemployment insurance or student loans. You become an employee of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and the federal government, which is slave to its lender, the national debt. All birth certificates are written on banknotes owned by the crown. Even America. The Corporation of the United States is registered as at the inner city of London, England, a Roman enclave of the Vatican. This message here says, you were born free. You are now a slave by choice. You gave up your birthright for a mess of pottage. You filled out all the forms and applications of your free will. So what they're saying to you is when you were a child, you were taught childish things. things that you never grew up from. And when you became an adult, you continued to act in childish ways. No one told you, or your parents or their parents, that they were in bondage. They felt it. And when they were told about bondage, about religious freedom or something like that, they really didn't understand it because they found home in it, as they do today. And when you grow up that way, and you become an adult, you continue the same practices you've always continued. You join the military when they call you, or you're drafted. You put a gun in your hand, you go and learn how to fight and go and kill if they direct you to. That's the way you've been taught. And as with the way that they have to manipulate you depending upon the events of the world that you only know a bit of, and that is that bit that they want you to know, and use it to work with your mind and get you right where they want you to be, as they feed you these little things. And then they call on you to do whatever they want you to do, to need you to do, whether it's putting sanctions on other countries, to being terrorizing other countries, or responding to certain situations that other countries might go through, and all being motivated by a commitment that has to do with protecting oneself against what? The money. Not really against a person. It's all about the money. All about the money. And the money engages the different kinds of ways that anything can be used or manipulated to play its role in where the money goes. And so, when you're there, that's where you stay. Until every now and then, people start waking up and saying something back. But they don't know where to go. They just stand up, put up their signs as the signs that were being posted. And that event I went to today, I took pictures of all the signs. I took them on video. You've maybe seen some of them. They are talking about the same kinds of things that have always been talked about. Somebody's dissatisfied today. They might not be the same people that were dissatisfied yesterday. In fact, those might have been satisfied now, or partially. But there are others that's dissatisfied, even for the same things that these were satisfied for now. And they're out there with the signs, and they are here year after year after year after year, not knowing that the game that they're playing prompts it this way. That if they want to change, if they want to be different, they're going to have to act different. They're going to act different because they think different. They're going to have to think different because they are different. They're going to have to look out for one another. They're going to have to say, well, the game that's being played is by others. Now let's do this for one another. What is that? We protect ourselves by guaranteeing to us, to every last one of us, those things that are essential for survival, and exercising the powers that have been given to us to engage ourselves in the process of creating all of those things. Everything that we, the people, engage ourselves in, we, the people, are responsible for its manifestation. All we did was use the resources that were given, use the resources that have been given us, use what we, the people, say we want to go out and search and grab in and brought it here. Didn't cost no money. Didn't cost a dime. Didn't cost a IRS. Didn't cost a tax. Didn't cost a credit. Because it's love. It's doing unto others as you have others to do unto you. I'm so glad that you got a chance to stop by here, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I've said something that would stick, but I'm not banking mine on you. And God isn't banking God's on you. It's you doing the banking. So you can go along with the system, and you're going exactly where the system goes. Or you can change and go along with another system. But you only can change when you know what you're doing. I want to say this, and then I'm going to get off. Don't change just because I'm asking you to change. Don't change just because anybody is asking you to change. Think about who you are. Think about what you want. And give it some thought about how and what it takes to get there. Stand back and look at that frame and see yourself. See yourself. And then step back into you and become you. That's all. Here's how you know it's you. Because you're going to be satisfied. If people support you, you're going to be satisfied. If people don't support you, you're going to be satisfied. If people love you, you're going to be satisfied. If people hate you, you're going to be satisfied. If that's not happening, you better check yourself. All right? Bye-bye.